EFF Johannesburg leader Moshe Mphahlele has been shot dead during a service delivery protest in Alexandra township. He was caught in the crossfire as police and private security attempted to stop residents from occupying government container homes, which have been vacant for years. Newzroom Afrika's Veronica Makhoali has more.
There is a lot of frustration and I think shock from this community here in Alexandra as that housing crisis continues to loom. Now we know that residents, in fact, we were here back in May during that election period where we spoke to some of the community members here that have been living really in squalor, in makeshift houses on the street after they were evicted from these containers in February. Many of the residents here were essentially kicked out by a clash between JNP police officers and private security back in February, and have since been living in those makeshift houses that you are seeing, where they've been using mattresses as well as cardboard sheeting and pretty much anything that they can find in the streets to create their houses. And they've been living here after they forcefully got into these containers that were built at the height of the COVID-19 pandemic. Of course, you'd remember this was government's efforts to reduce, of course, the number of people that were living in this densely populated community, and sort of to create more space. As you remember, that this was a big issue in our townships as we were fighting that pandemic. Since that period in 2020, when these containers were built at a hefty price tag of 300 million, not a single soul has lived in here. And so residents took it upon themselves to move into these containers in 2023. That was last year, and they were met with much resistance when they were, of course, evicted. And so what has happened since then is that residents have been trying by all means to get back into this residential area, taking the city of Johannesburg to court. And so out of frustration, they sat here at a picket, essentially trying to ask themselves what is happening in terms of the allocation of these containers. It's understood that some construction was taking place for some time, and they had, of course, been told that they would be allocated, and this didn't happen. And so what then happened was that after they got into this essentially this premises during a picket, they clashed with JNP police officers and private security who were here, and would believe and understood from what the community have told us is that the EFF regional leader, Moshe, was one of the leaders that were essentially leading this demonstration, this picket inside these containers, again pressing the issue of when will residents be able to move back into these containers. We understand then what happened was that but rubber bullets were shot at the community at close range. We understood that then Moshe then jumped over that specific wall over there. He fell and tried to make his way into the street, and exactly where those rocks have been lined up is where the community tells me he fell. And essentially what had happened is that they found that there was a wound in his stomach and that he was pierced by a rubber bullet, according to the community. And those rocks essentially showing where his body remained, where they had to then pick him up. They took him to the nearest clinic. But as we know now, developments are that he did pass away.